Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Away Gooners podcast. My name is Arun, and I'm going to be running this podcast with yet another absence from Picasso. Poor Picasso has lost his baggage. You think of going home, you think of all the fun that you're going to have, and you're hit right on the face with a baggage loss. Poor Picasso. Let's hope he gets it back soon. And I'm joined today by Bob, as usual, and Aben is joining us again. But we have a special guest today for you guys, all the way from Watford. We have George Fowler. George is a passionate Aston Villa fan. He's been so for a while, and he's also like us. He runs another podcast of his own, the Vila Park Podcast. You'll find the description about the podcast. You'll find a link to the podcast in the description below. God, I need to get this right. So, welcome, George.
Hi guys, how's it going?
Not bad. How are you?
Yes, not too bad, mate. I'm just getting over last night, but I'm doing all right.
Well, we are getting over last night as well, but we are still at the opposite end of the spectrum, I should say. Still used to it. We'll jump right into things with what we are going to be doing today. So first, like I mentioned earlier, we want to get your opinion. You're the star of the show today, so we want to get your opinion, and your experience. I know you went to the game, you went to the stadium, you were at the Emirates yesterday watching the game. So we'd like to get your experience, starting with, I would say, your assessment of Villa's season so far. I know it's very early into the season, but what would be your assessment of the season so far?
It's been a strange season so far, to be honest. It's been very disjointed. We've had lots of injuries, quite a few COVID scares and stuff like that. Two international breaks, and it just feels to me that we've not quite got going yet this season, and we haven't really worked out what we are. Obviously, losing Grealish in the summer,
right?
Massive blow to us as a club, and I think we're just trying to try and re-establish who Villa are and what we're about.
Interesting.
I was just mentioning in the preview pod, George, that despite losing Grealish, the team has been well balanced with the additions that's been done so far. With Buendia and Bailey, more importantly, coming in. Just to split up the task, which was single-handedly done by Grealish as such last season. And as such, there was a shrewd addition in Danny Ings as well, that you've added in to the firepower. So I pretty much felt that, you, as a Villa fan, you should be pretty much all right, without Grealish being in there.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, on paper, all three of them very good signings, but problem is we've had Leon Bailey's played about an hour's football now since we've signed him in the summer. With Buendia, I thought we'd signed him to play on the right side. That's what I'd always seen what he'd done for Norwich, but
right.
we seem to be trying to play him in a number 10, and it's not happened at all so far. I mean, as you guys probably saw last night, he was just bullied out of the game from the first minute. Never really, every time he got the ball, it got taken away from him. So that one's not really worked. With Danny Ings, looks like a class striker to me. We all know his pedigree and what he's done. We're now trying to get, with him and Watkins, trying to play both up front. We've had to switch to a 3-5-2 and it hasn't really, they don't really seem to have the relationship going just yet. So I can see maybe we're going to have to change it at some stage.
I'm just hoping it's just teething issues at the moment.
Hopefully.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned about Grealish and the fact that you're trying to sort of balance it out with the other attacking talent that you have, but given that you're mentioning about Buendia and him not being able to cope in that number 10 role, Grealish as a presence, as a player was massive, right? For the club, whatever he did, and the fact that he was present there meant that you guys could actually chalk up wins like 7-2 that you did last time against So it's not just about replacing the person's quality, but replacing the person's personality. So with that, do you guys think that you're actually been able to cope without Grealish in spite of the numbers that you've been adding? Or do you see there's a way forward without Grealish? Because based on what I saw yesterday, I'm sure these guys would also agree. You guys have two fantastic strikers in Ings and Watkins. It seemed to me like it was a desperate measure to make sure that both of them play with Buendia and all these attacking guys around. So it seemed for me like you guys went off track off your usual sort of like, your template that you have in terms of trying to do things that you normally don't do?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we've played Arsenal the last 3 times and we've won the last 3.
Yeah, that wasn't fun. That
no,
wasn't fun.
not for you guys, nah. But we played a 4-3-3 every time.
Yeah.
And sort of pressed Arsenal high up the pitch, just got into them. And I don't know, last night I just didn't see any of that. If anything, you've done it to us.
Yeah.
It was the complete reverse of our plan to beat you.
And trust me, the three of us and the rest of Gooners who saw the game were as surprised as you were.
Yeah,
exactly.
Saying that.
I was going to mention that.
But so as you're saying, with the Grealish thing, we've got there's big personalities inside. You've got John McGinn, Tyrone Mings, experienced heads like Danny Ings. We've got some good players, but I think Jack was such a massive part. He was bigger than our club eventually, hence why he got his big move. But if you're asking me, are we over him yet? No, definitely not.
Yeah, it's not easy to be over like a player.
Takes time,
like
doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. We've not been over Patrick Vieira since 2005, so we can definitely relate
Came back
to that.
to haunt us last week.
Yeah. So we can.
I think for Villa, it's basically just a matter of time. I think we've got a lot of attacking talent now. It's just about getting the right fit, right combination into the pitch.
Yeah, you guys.
And I think as a neutral, as a non-Villa supporter, I look at Dean Smith and I look at him to say that he is one of those who could actually put them all to use. He's actually taken them to a level that you can't really have imagined at all. Since you've bounced into the Premier League, and I can just wish that Dean Smith is the right guy for the club, and then he can definitely take this team forward.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's quite a lot of fans now that are starting to, what all fans are like. We've lost 3 games in a row, so the panic setting in.
Of course.
He's taken us as far as he can and all that. But like you said, we've got to remember where we've come from in recent years. We were in the Championship 2-3 years ago, struggling, getting beat all over the country by Wigans and teams like that, and Readings, and so to be up there, sort of, mid-table in the Premier League, we're just gonna have to bide our time and have a bit of patience with it.
Absolutely.
True. So let me just jump into the games. Like again, as an Aston Villa fan, and having seen even if you've not watched our games, Arsenal's results, and just to look at the results will tell you the sort of season that we've been having so far. Yeah. So going into the game, what were your thoughts? Like, were you confident of a win, making another win, making it like a 4th win against us, or were you thinking that this could probably become a draw, hard-fought draw or something? What were your thoughts going into the game, just from an overall Arsenal and an Aston Villa?
Oh, do you know? I'm sorry. Was that for me or was that for someone else?
That's for you. I told you, you're the star of the show.
Okay. Going into the game, I really wasn't sure because, like we just said there, we've had a good recent record against Arsenal, and we seem to have had your number. But also at the same time, we've just come off the back of, I don't know if you guys saw the Wolves game last Saturday when we're 2-0 up with 10 minutes left. This was on my birthday, by the way. I was at the game.
Oh my God.
That was harsh.
You believe this? Yeah. We conceded 3 goals in the last 10 minutes of the game to ruin the whole weekend. So
that was a Midlands derby as well, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah, it was.
Yes.
But yeah, so I had that on the back of my mind, and I did worry about how we would sort of what mentality our players would be in after that collapse last week. So I was speaking to my friend Arsenal fan yesterday, and we both agreed a draw was probably the most likely result.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Given our recent record against you guys, I wouldn't blame you. Even if you thought that you're going to win, I wouldn't have blamed you at all. Even many of us fans thought that we were going to lose. So, so it's we spoke about the lineup and the fact that you guys are trying to accommodate all these attacking talents into the team, to make up for stuff. But when the game did start and when you did see the starting lineup, were you expecting you guys to actually line up the way you did? Or were you expecting something else? Because I don't think the preview that we did, the way in which we thought Villa was going to play was either a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3, like you mentioned, a high pressing, high intense game where they're not going to give us any time on the ball. That's what we were thinking was going to happen. But then we see this, and it was in a complete shift with 3-5-2, 3-4-1-2. That's what you guys are playing. So when you saw the starting lineup, did you think that this is going to work, or were you as surprised as we were?
I wasn't surprised, but I was concerned because I just think, like I just said a minute ago, we've done what we've played the system to beat you 2-3 times.
Okay.
Why not just go with what worked before? But I saw that I thought we would stick to the same lineup because that's one thing with Dean Smith. We tried it at Old Trafford and we got a great win at Old Trafford like 3-4 weeks ago. But since then, it hasn't really worked. But it seems to take
Trust me, all of us were equally happy for that win. Along with you guys.
We don't get many wins up there, I can tell you boys. When we get a good result like that, I think that system on the day worked. But for some reason, if something works for Villa, we just keep doing it and doing it and doing it, forgetting who we're playing. And, it hasn't worked since. So we all said before the game yesterday, switch back to what we know. But, he didn't do that. So, we got what we got.
Yeah, I think if I were to make a take on the game, so it's just the game was almost similar to how we faced Crystal Palace just less than a week back. And it probably was won on few little margins. Basically what luck didn't favor us during the last game sort of did here. If I looked at a couple of instances, Martinez did single-handedly keep you back in the game, with those couple of saves, and then with the Partey, hitting the crossbars and just heading over as well. I probably thought luck was sort of on your side until that penalty incident happened. Yeah. It was pretty soft, and even me with an Arsenal fan, so I didn't really expect that to be given a penalty, considering all our history against VAR, all this referee nonsenses. But yeah, I think we did get the penalty, and that's how the game turned on our head as such. So that's how probably it turned into our favor, and we were able to capitalize. I mean, the third goal was just brilliant. It was just Smith Rowe was like he single-handedly scored the thing. It still did went in, thanks to Mings there meddling into the ball. But yeah, I think those were the finer margins which went in Arsenal's favor. If not for that, it could have been still a 50-50 game, I felt.
Yeah, I thought Arsenal started the game really, really well. I mean, we were like rabbits in the headlights for 20 minutes.
That was going to be my next question. Like, how did you feel in the first 20 minutes? Because
we could have been 3-4-0 down. And like you say, Martinez kept us in it with some really good saves. And I just found that Arsenal were just first to every ball, every 50-50, just showed an intensity, which I didn't think that Arsenal had at the moment. Fair play to them. I thought they were very, very good, and we just couldn't deal with it. But with the penalty, my first look, I was at that end of the ground, so I was quite close to it. I looked at it and thought penalty straight away, and I turned away to the guy next to me and I said, I think that's a pen. But obviously the play carried on, didn't it? And it must have carried on for about another 2 minutes after that.
Yeah, 2 or 3 minutes. Yeah.
We keep looking, thinking it ain't going to stop it now. It's too late. It's got to be half time.
Gave you a glimmer of hope at that point. Yeah, I see.
Yeah, exactly. But then obviously he did point to the spot, and Martinez made a great save from the penalty, but Aubameyang was there again on the rebound, and at 2-0, that was pretty much game over, really.
Oh, so when you went into the half, you probably did you think that you guys could make a comeback? Like, were you seeing, and did you see anything on the pitch in the first half that actually give you any sort of confidence going in to the second half that Villa would be able to sort of make a comeback?
No, not at all. Not in the first half. No, I was even though it was 2-0 and it was a bad time, a horrendous time to concede the second. I was grateful it wasn't 4 or 5.
Interesting. So, do you guys have any questions for George? I feel like I'm
actually the commentators had they had better confidence than what you did, I think, because they were pretty confident that Villa is going to turn this around, considering the form that Arsenal was in. So
yeah, so that's because it's interesting that Bob brought that up. The commentator, if I were to quote him, not even paraphrasing, 3 goals in the last 10 minutes is eminently possible. This is what the commentator said.
Oh, well, obviously what we done last week. That's right.
and most Arsenal fans wouldn't disagree as well.
Yeah. But it was, it was annoying. But then, when you actually think about it, what he said was true. This is the Premier League. This is Arsenal, and like you said, Villa did do that last week. But At the time that you guys scored the first goal, were you like, I know you were hoping for a comeback, but were you like any sort of confident of any comebacks happening?
Once we scored?
Yeah. I know it was too late into the game, but like still, given how Arsenal tend to like, get shaky when this sort of things happen, there's always a possibility of goals like this happening. And we've seen that in the past with Arsenal. So,
yeah, to be fair, I was sort of just heading out the doors at this time when we scored. I was thinking about getting home, mate, and getting past 60,000 people to the station. But we soon turned back in when we heard the goal go in. And you felt, 4 or 5 minutes left. You never know, do you? But it's a long.
That was a bloody brilliant goal, by the way.
Yeah, it was a fantastic goal. Yeah, it showed like the sort of quality that kid Ramsey possesses. Like, I don't think I've seen him play before. But what I saw of him, the intensity, the passion, and the goal that he scored was fantastic. Like, is he like one of those hidden gems that you guys have at your club? You guys is he like sort of another Grealish in the making, if I could say?
He's a good little player, and as you say, I'll tell you what, boys, we have got some superb youth coming through. Watch out for Villa in the next couple of years with the players we've got coming through. But Ramsey's come into the side this season. He played a few last year, mainly off the bench, but he started. What we played now 9. He's probably started 4 already, I'd say, this season, maybe 5. And we knew a goal was coming for him soon. We predicted the last couple of weeks maybe, but he managed to get it this time, and it was a great finish.
Yeah, it was really good. Yeah, and one more thing that I want to ask you is like, I know we spoke about like, how Villa played, how Aston played and all that. But in spite of the change in formation and lineup, the way in which the goals were conceded, like you said, Arsenal were intense, pressing. But it seemed like Villa were not like, up for the game, ready for the game at all, the way in which they came and started. Why do you think nothing changed in the middle of a horrendous first half of the first 45 minutes? Nothing seemed to like, though the first 20 minutes were all Arsenal, I felt there was nothing done from Villa's side to like, stop or arrest anything at all. And it didn't seem right, because this is not the Villa team. This is not how the Villa team usually plays. So why do you think like nothing was done at all? It seemed like, okay, you guys let a goal in. After that point, there was no control brought into the game. Let us dominate a lot more. I don't know why the goals were conceded in the first place, because of the formation or whatever it might be. But the fact that you guys were not able to like arrest the slide was something new for me, given how Villa you guys have been playing for the last 2 seasons. Where do you think like the goals were led? Like how do you think the goals happened? I mean, anything that you could say from a Villa perspective?
Yeah, I just like, as we said about the start of the game, I just think the intensity of Arsenal, we just couldn't really cope. And I think we were at 6s and 7s. Like, you scored an early goal, and we, like, within 15-20 minutes, everyone in our end, we could see that the shape wasn't working, and the system needed a change after 20 minutes, of a personnel change and a change of shape. But I think Smith's idea was to just see how it goes till half time, try and stay in the game as such, and address it after, because we've been playing most of our best football this year in the second half. But obviously, we got to half time and we're already 2 down, so we've left ourselves with a mountain to climb.
And do you feel like the when you guys came out for the second half, you actually were able to see some changes that you did not see in the first half? There was like a lot more intensity or passion, or the pressing that was present. Like, you must have thought that you guys could have done this in the first half, right away, instead of having to wait for all this while.
Yeah, 100%. He made the change that we wanted in the second half. He took Tuanzebe off and brought on Leon Bailey. So we then went more 4-3-3, what we were used to. And literally the first 5 minutes of the second half was better than anything we'd done in 45 minutes at the start. And, we looked a bit better. And funnily enough, I thought our best spell of the game we had resulted in your third goal, when you just
That's true.
Hit us on the counter, and then
that wasn't supposed to happen. That wasn't supposed to happen.
Not for us, it weren't. No.
I think the earlier instance, one of the things which really started in our favor was the fact that Watkins got carded within the first minute, and that sort of clipped his, from him doing a lot of creative things. Sort of things. He scored a lot of goals against Arsenal in the past, and history has actually favored him. And I expected him to be, one of those danger men to make a difference. Buendia was, as you said, he was completely nullified in the middle. I don't think it's his preferred position, or that's where I mean, this system is suited for him to play there. But as such, with Watkins not being at his clinical best, McGinn sort of tried to influence the game, but then again, it was his misplaced pass or the one that was intercepted by Smith Rowe that resulted in the third goal. But yeah, I think those things probably went into the Arsenal's favor and sort of turned the game towards maybe we were still the better side yesterday, but then all these things does really matter, when you go into games when things doesn't click the way that you would want to. Possibly your game is lost well and well there. I mean, without any chance of further comeback. But Leon Bailey, I'm not sure how much you've seen him in the past, but I used to watch a lot of Leverkusen games, and he is an amazing player. Seriously, one of the best who lit up Bundesliga until Sancho and everyone started picking up. But yeah, I think he's a real player that to look out for. And once he is in form, expect his pace to come into your side, and then possibly he can start banging in a lot of things. Can just go really fast on the wings.
Judge, sorry, go on. I'm sorry to cut you off. I didn't know that he was starting.
Yeah, just as your man said there, I'm excited about Bailey. We really haven't seen enough of him yet because of the injuries, but he had a little cameo at Watford on the opening day when we were already 3-0 down in that game, and he come on in the second half and completely changed that. We got back to 3-2, but couldn't get a goal, an equaliser. And then Everton, he done the same. He came on against Everton, literally in 10 minutes, won the game for us, just absolutely tore it up, scored a cracking goal, and then went off injured. So he was literally on the pitch 20 minutes. But yeah, that showed us enough. That showed we knew we had a player on our hands.
As a Villa fan, if I were to ask, did you at any point in time, not just yesterday, but anywhere in the past, did you feel that with Smith Rowe, with you not being able to sign Smith Rowe, that you...
Yeah, what was all that about? Yeah, now for a bit of banter, what was all that about? Like that Emil Smith Rowe
going for Smith Rowe?
Yes, that 25 million bid that you guys put up, and like the Buendia, was it supposed to be the Buendia derby, or the Emil Smith Rowe derby, or the Emi Martinez derby? What was this supposed to be? I don't know.
I don't think we were ever serious about signing Smith Rowe.
You're just taking the piss.
Yeah, I think all that was just a little message to Arsenal saying, look, we're about now. We've got a few quid, and we can take your players if we want, or we're not scared to try. But obviously, that's ended up backfiring.
I feel probably if you had tried harder, you could have still got him on.
I think so,
Given our board, and there's they're always like looking like vultures to make that money. So I wouldn't be surprised. But like, given that it's good that we still have it, and not that we want to lose it. So
I had a couple of things to mention definitely when George was around. So I just wanted to say we definitely did the wrong decision in sending Emi Martinez out because even before Abad took the penalty, I was pretty sure that Emi was going to stop him up because he just makes himself very large and he's very confident, and you could see that in all the things that
Bob,
he does.
enough. That's enough. That's enough of
Okay.
That's enough. It's an Arsenal podcast. Though we have George, we have been nice enough to George so far. Like we don't have to praise Emi Martinez so much.
No. But I have to tell the truth. But yeah, the second thing was it was really classy from Christian Pulslow on the Jack Grealish statement that he did. He was upfront, and then he did tell all the facts about Grealish wanting to move on. I thought that was a real class from the CEO there. Just as a neutral perspective.
So yeah,
he's a very classy guy, Christian Perslow. He represents our club very well, and he is like you say, he says it as it is. He doesn't sort of sugarcoat anything. He just tells you what's going on. So I do respect that.
Cool. So we are coming to the end of this first half of the recording, George. So the last question from our side, I would say, I think I can safely say that would be, you guys have out on a 3-game losing streak. Yeah, you had a decent start to the season. We were just 1 point, 1 position behind. So it was not well, again, it's too early into the season, just 25% in. With these 3 losses and the way in which you guys are playing, what would be your realistic expectations for the end of the season, you think? You think, I know you have an expectation, but then there's a possibility of you guys finishing somewhere. So what would be your ideal expectation and where do you think your realistic would end up realistically?
For me, I said at the start of the season when Grealish left, I mean, if Grealish had been there, we should have been looking about top 8, I think, top 7, top 8. But losing him...
You don't want that 7 spot, trust me. Tottenham is struggling.
No, I know. Yeah, God, that Europa Conference League looks fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I said if we bettered last season, I'd been satisfied with that. So we were 11th last year and like comfortably 11th. I think if we can get into the top 10, I think that will be a reasonable season.
Interesting. Yeah, it shows like how much of an impact Grealish as a player and personality had on the team. So if you guys do not have any other questions for George, I think we can end this part of the podcast. It was wonderful having you with us, George. Thanks a lot for joining us. It was very fun getting a perspective from a Villa fan about a game that we won and we had fun watching. So, thank you very much for joining us, George. So again, guys, George's podcast link would be available in the description below. So please do check it out. Thank you very much, George. So we'll again see you in the next part of the podcast. Thank you, George.
Cheers, guys. All the best. Well played.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So hello and welcome, guys. Again, this is the second part of the podcast where we just try to dissect the Arsenal and the way in which we played the last game against Villa, the fantastic win against Villa. I know we might sound like, bullish. We might sound a bit overconfident, but then like there are very few chances that we get in a season to sound like this. So we're going to take that opportunity. I'm pretty sure these two guys would agree with me. So let's start with the review of the Villa game. First things first, I think we have to give a big shout out to the crowd. The crowd was absolutely fantastic. I do not know if it was because of me having my TV volume very high, but I heard the crowd singing and chanting all the time. So, Aben, just your thoughts on that? Like, I mean, like how refreshing was it to see this sort of an atmosphere at the Emirates, given the kind of season that we've had? Did you expect that?
See, I think the crowd support this season has been amazing. There's been no doubt about that. Obviously, there's also a question of which Arsenal shows up.
True.
I think the crowd liked the Arsenal which showed up for this game.
Yeah.
It was just amazing. The intensity, the game. I think last few games we've been good for the first 15, 20 minutes. But I think this game we were good for a much longer duration. We were more consistent.
That made all the difference, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. The crowd was not let down. The crowd was we were always in the game with chances. So the crowd was behind us. And the fact that you can see Martinez behind me, the crowd chanting for Ramsdale I think it was an amazing game and good to have games like these.
It's for all those listening to the audio version of this podcast. Aben's background is basically Alba with a huge smile on his face, and Emi Martinez is being consoled sort of by Alba. Those are sort of the images that bring a smile to your face when you're recording a podcast at 7 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. Thanks a lot for that, Aben. I should definitely say that.
And if you notice the intensity of the crowd, you said the crowd. So even from the first instance itself, the Watkins incident when he got the yellow card, the fierceness which our players had, we were basically literally on their faces.
Yeah, 11 of them were surrounding the road.
Yeah,
exactly. That all adds to the factor, right? The crowd was all pumped up with the intensity from the beginning. So it was definitely amazing.
Very true. It felt like, the players were feeding off the energy. That's one of the most important factors in football is the crowd acting as your 12th man. And I believe the crowd did play a huge part as a 12th man. That's not something that you normally get to see at the Emirates. Yeah. So normally, like, the Emirates does have a reputation of being a library, like being quiet and all that. So seeing the crowd there was fantastic. Another thing that I should mention is if you were at the stadium and if you were blindfolded, you would know every time Emi Martinez got the ball. That's how much the crowd was going in. So you just have to be like, keep your eyes shut and you will know when he's getting the ball. That's how it was. So I'll start with that. Emi Martinez. Bob, I'll start with you, the Emi Martinez factor. I asked George when we were talking in the previous half, what do we call this derby? The Emi Martinez derby, the Emils, or is it even a derby at this point? Or is Villa trying to make it a derby?
See, I think
it's interesting. It's interesting also because it involves three peoples with the names Emmy. You know, it's Emmy Buendia, Emil Smith Rowe, and Emmy Martinez.
I would rather call it mid-table derby because until that point in time, we're just two other teams, fighting off each other in the mid-table. So let's not go into player comparisons and all those other things. Yeah. But yeah, I think we almost started as equals, and Villa after the game, as we heard from George as well, they're still trying to get back their identity and all those sort of things. So they need to work out. They've got a bit more work to do than what we've got at the moment. At least we sort of have an identity in terms of who's going to play where. Few of the things which instill some bit of a confidence in me is the fact that, if for some reason, if Tierney is going to be injured, we have Tavares who can literally start off, a game, and then he can play really well as well. And I felt that was a refreshing change as well. Tierney, I'm not sure how much injured she was, but it was good for Tavares to get a start and then possibly get a run on as well. A few of the things. Yes.
Let me ask something controversial here. Was Tierney really injured?
I don't know. If I were to quote my old boss, I didn't see that.
No, the thing is, even when we're doing well, given his recent performances, we as fans always have these seeds of doubt in our heads, right? Especially after Tavares comes and puts up a performances like that, makes you think sort of like if Tierney was really injured or not. And that's just like the conspiracies coming out. So, but we'll get back to the actuality of things. I'll start with just Bob, it's open for you both. The formation and the starting lineup in itself, it was like completely opposite of anything that we might have thought was going to happen or we'd predicted, right? A 4-4-2. When was the last time you saw us play 4-4-2 with two solid strikers and playing well at that, So I'll put it out to both of you guys. Why do you think this 4-4-2 actually worked? We can say, yeah, like I said, it's industry, but that's just one part of a whole puzzle, right? Where do you think this 4-4-2 actually worked? Why and where do you think it worked?
So I think for me, it was two places. One, you yourself mentioned, Lacazette, and the way he was linking up play. That was one of it. And the second, I think the last game against Palace, where did we fail? We failed because Partey was all alone. He didn't have any support. So I think if you see the game this time, Lokonga had an amazing game as well. Most of our players did have an amazing game. I think these were the two areas where I think this formation worked for us. Because in midfield, we had that presence in midfield. Partey was not alone. He was ably assisted by Lokonga, as well as the way Lacazette got into the game. He was linking up play. I think these were the two major factors for me, which I could see evidently different.
See, for me, I would just stop with the first point. Just
like
for us to come with Lacazette in meant that, the boss could go in, put both of them in, which means that it would be a natural 4-4-2 for them both to be in there.
It was a 4-4-2, yeah. So like I said, if you actually see his main contribution was the link-up play, like you guys mentioned, yeah. So, but he's not a number 10 in the sense he's not going to give you the final through balls that you get. That's where a player like Odegaard is going to make that difference. I know, like I said, as a striker, he's able to hold people up. But what does that mean for an Odegaard? Someone like an Odegaard, why do you think he would not be able to perform the same role that, like I said, does? Not in terms of the linker play, the way in which, like I said, holds people, but in terms of the linker play that could be done any other way. Because Odegaard is a number 10. I don't know if you guys understand the question.
No, I did. Okay, from what I could understand the question.
Yes, let's put it that way. Yeah.
I feel Laka offers more than what Odegaard could do.
That's exactly what I wanted to ask. What does Laka offer more? In a very convoluted way. I'm very sorry.
He could just do a link-up play and even be at the end of it to actually finish play, isn't it, with a goal or with a shot on goal and all those sort of things, which often you wouldn't be able to do, or which Odegaard wouldn't prefer to be in that far along on the pitch.
I mean, in terms of his position, like the give and go, he gets the ball and he's at the end of the balls, sort of.
Correct, exactly. He is able to convert a few things, and of the two strikers, if I were to say the top two strikers that we have with Oba and Laka is I mean, the last few games that we saw, that right since the time that he came in as a substitute, he has been able to make some difference in terms of his pressing and then his shot taking ability, or even his link up play, as we all know. So with him being there, it adds in an extra presence, and for that, I think the boss might have thought about, like, maybe that could be the difference that we want, and it did make a difference at the end of it.
It definitely did, yeah.
And that was the reason as to why Odegaard got demoted to the bench, possibly. A little more than what Odegaard could offer. I mean, they are both good players in a way. I don't want to fault anyone or anything, but it's just that for them, for Lacazette to be naturally available in the box, as well as the fact that he could actually draw a couple of the opposition players, and then create some space for maybe Saka to come in, or to Smith Rowe to bang in one or two. That was actually the difference that I noticed.
For me, I have a slightly different opinion. So I wouldn't even go to compare Odegaard and Lacazette in the first place. I think Odegaard has been subpar for the last two games, and Lacazette at the same point when he has come in to the games, he's actually shown us something different.
Sorry to cut you off, Aben, but I don't know if we should add an asterisk disclaimer. Odegaard has been subpar, but he's just 20, so we'll give him chances, and we're not slating him.
Oh, see, but yeah, I think that asterisk is pretty right. I would have meant that definitely, for sure. See, he is still, there's some way to go for Odegaard, but the last two games he was not good. Definitely not. He didn't do anything. So him being demoted to the bench was completely justified. And the same way, Lacazette, the last two games when he's come in, he's brought on that intensity, that gameplay, the link-up play, and we could see that. So him coming into the game was also justified. So for me, Lacazette is not I don't see him as a number 10. He's more of a supporting striker who can link up play, as well as, like Bob said, he's got that attacking threat. Because he's got that. He can get a ball in the box, suddenly make a turn and take a shot also. Odegaard is not somebody who can do that. So I wouldn't compare them. But yeah, in the end, it worked out for us.
One last thing about this formation before we move on. Like, I know we need to move on to other stuff that we talk about. But one last thing is, ever since we got Alba and Laka, we've always been talking about these amazing goal threats that we have, but we've never been able to manage to get the best out of them, playing them both together. We've tried a lot of things, tried to play Alba from the left with Lacazette in the middle. We've tried 3-4-1-2s with both of them playing up top, but every time we tried, we mostly failed. Yeah, we do score goals here and there, but overall, that project or that process has not been as successful as we might have liked it to be. So has Arteta actually cracked a secret code to play these two together in a way that could be efficient irrespective of the opposition? Now this game, we've been talking about Villa and the way in which they played and all that, it seemed to fit the opposition because they were playing with fewer men in midfield. When we go and play teams that play two or three people, two as a pivot, or a 4-3-3 midfield, do you think at this point it would still also work? And it also brings me to a point that Arteta mentioned. We're not good with our transitions to play well enough to play 4-3-3. Yeah. So does this mean that we should just be alternating between these 4-4-2 and a 4-2-3-1 as we go forward, which gives us more stability? Do you guys see that happening? And has he cracked a secret code?
No, I don't think so.
No, way to put a dampener on all that, Bob. I thought so much to frame this question, and you said no, simple no. Thank you.
That was my opinion, buddy.
I was going to say the exact same thing.
Okay.
I think it was a one-off game.
Yeah, that's it.
Definitely no for now. But yeah, you never know. I think if we can consistently do this, yes, it would be a yes. But for now, it's a no.
But do you guys see this like moving forward as the way to go in terms of we saw how we struggled with a 4-3-3 or a 4-1 when we were clueless, yeah. So do you guys see this probably as a way going forward, a 4-4-2 or a 4-2-3-1?
Again, I would think it would be a no, because that would be dependent upon who we are playing against, and we can't be going with the same sort of a thing for every opposition that we're going to face.
So there's no magic ingredient. It's just basically like things working out by chance. Yes.
I think the only part of the formation which will remain constant will be the 4 at the back.
Those guys are not going to change unless they keep a bruised knee, as we saw. So so I just want to like get into the next part, like the patterns of play, because the team, its consistency is basically judged based upon like how well you see things happening on the pitch. Even if you're failing in terms of like your results at the end, your goals, things that give confidence to fans like us, both watching away from home as well as the ones in the stadium, is if you're able to see consistent patterns emerging. The last time we saw some sort of consistency was during the Tottenham game. After that, it was not what we thought we were going to see on the pitch. I'm sure you guys would agree with the Brighton game and the Crystal Palace game. But did you notice anything in this game that would sort of give you even a bit of confidence? Okay, I see something happening. If when people say the process, I saw something on the pitch that I've seen before, which gives me the confidence to say that we can do this consistently. Did you guys see? Because it's through these wins like this and the good games that we would actually be able to judge, right? So were you guys able to see anything of that?
See, from the little that I've noticed so far, and I've mentioned this during our Brighton review game as well, I felt that, I don't know if it's been some training, some specific training that we are doing at the back of things, but I felt that we've been doing some good counterattacks in the recent games. We noticed that one of the goals that we scored against Tottenham was as a result of counterattack, and we almost scored a goal against Brighton as well in the game that we should have put that game to bed, but we didn't. And as well, the third goal here against Villa was as a result of counterattack, where they were pressing us and they were about to create an opening, but then we just completely used it in our favor, and then we were able to make use of our pace, and then in our counterattack to score one. So that's something which I've been noticing, and it seems to be working. Okay, I felt that for the past few games, Partey has been really trying to score.
And he finally did.
I think. He did finally score a goal, which is all well and good. He could have even grabbed
and guess what, Bob? We didn't need the Zimbabwe goalkeeper to be at the other end for him to score.
True, he scored against the great Emi Martinez. So,
yes, the great
one feather onto his cap. So, but yeah, I think there's been I think there's been an expectation set on Partey for him to try and do more of shooting rather than trying to pass the ball and then just breaking down the opposition sort of thing. So I find that as well pretty good that he is more encouraged to strike. He's taking that bit too far, I think, sometimes. But as long as
last game he tried a lot, right? Last game, the game before
a couple of them against Crystal Palace.
Well, he's been trying a lot each game, so it's all getting blurry now. One thing is common: most of them are going to Rosie, so that's common. That's one common factor that we have.
Oh yeah, brilliant header, brilliant shot actually, not a header, which hit the upright. If not for that, that was really very quick for even Laka to as well. Was it not Laka? Sorry, for again Partey to head it in, because it just went in at a drastic pace that we were not able to score during that instance. But yeah, hats off to him for his persistence and then trying to score one more after that.
That's good, no? Party time. That's party time. Yeah, that's good.
Oh, yeah.
So, Aben, did you see anything that in terms of patterns? Bob was talking about how we did the counter attack. There is something that you're able to see. Were you able to see things, because you have been contradicting Bob since we started this recording? So are you going to say a hard no again? No.
So I think counter attacking is yes, because when we've been pressed or we are counter attacking, we've basically had more chances rather than if the teams you're playing against are just sitting and we've got all possession. We haven't got that creative spark or to create a lot like the Arsenal of yesteryears. But yeah, counter-attacking, I definitely agree with him. For me, another thing is probably slight. You guys might disagree, but I would say defensive stability. It's not that stable.
You're saying it's not that stable. Okay.
No, I'm saying it's not that stable, but still, there is when you see a Ramsdale or a Gabriel, the intensity they're getting into the games. I think we've got a little bit more steel than earlier. I think that's the only thing.
Okay, so you're giving
a disagree. I know that
you're giving a positive twist to it.
Yeah, positive. It's definitely positive.
I think a lot of people would agree, given like our defensive woes of the last 2 seasons. I'm pretty sure a lot of us would agree, like, with what you said. So don't worry, there are people with you. You're not alone on that.
So I was skeptical because I might be shot down immediately.
No, not at all. No, Aben, think about the kind of goals that we conceded last season and the season before. This is like an iron curtain.
You don't even need to go that far. Think about the goal that we conceded against Brentford, the first goal.
Oh, yes. No, yeah, compared to that, this seems like an iron curtain, right? So,
even if you don't consider whether you're conceding or not, the way they're carrying about, way they're conducting themselves in the game, both Ramsdale and Gabriel, moment they get a shot, they're like, how the hell did they get that shot?
Yeah.
So that that attitude is refreshing.
That's true. That's very true. Yeah. So continuing on with the defensive stability that you spoke about, Aben, like the defense, the back 5 was fantastic. The way in which Ramsdale he played, it was a breath of fresh air from what we've seen so far. And it was funny because the crowd were also singing, "You are a shit, Ramsdale." So that was funny. So let's whatever you saw of Ramsdale, all the skepticism that we had. Most of the fan base had when we were signed, all these memes floating around that he's been a part of, all these relegation teams. Based on his performance yesterday, did it seem anywhere to you guys that he's a part of a relegation goalkeeper, one who's likely to take teams down, any of that sort? Because for me, he had a fantastic masterclass performance. His distribution was fantastic. I'll let you guys talk about it. What you saw of the defense and Ramsdale?
I think, like you said, his distribution was just amazing. It was just too good. The way he was distributing the ball, we started many attacks starting from his distribution.
That's the thing. Because for me, it's not just the defensive stability that they're bringing in. It's also the transitions, the fact that we're able to start attacks from those moves. That is amazing. So yeah, go on, sorry.
Yeah. So for me, he's been just immense. The way he has come, he's given us a lot which Leno could not offer us in terms of distribution, and that's actually helping us. And obviously, he's an amazing character. His character also brings a lot. So I think we already mentioned that.
Exactly.
So that definitely adds in. So I have nothing more to add on him. He's just been immense in all the games he's played till now.
See, I think one of the most important things of which a goalkeeper brings in is his command on the back line. And Ramsdale has been, able to command the back line, and even the midfielders and all those sort of things as well. He brings passion into these players, I felt. I mean, even when we scored the equalizer against Crystal Palace, he was there. He was just right down there, on the other end of the pitch in trying to celebrate with those players. That's how he is expressing himself, and that carries on with the rest of the players as well. That's really wonderful to see. And for once, we've been having our silent Leno. And I mean, as a contrast to it, Ramsdale has been pretty good. And for all the things that he's been, probably short of, he actually makes up for it by his confidence and things. To be very honest, he didn't have much to perform last game. He
was hardly troubled.
Yeah. So we were pretty much in control, and the goal that he conceded, anyone could have conceded that because it was just cheat on the top corner there. But apart from that, yes, it's just a very shrewd addition to our squad.
It's interesting that you brought up the goal that he conceded. Like, I don't know if you guys noticed, it is never his fault. Have you guys noticed that? Anything happens, if a goal goes, he's screaming at the defenders. If there's something going out, he's screaming at the defenders. He's like, I am doing my job. You guys are supposed to do your job. Do it. That like you said, like that passion gets the entire team together, was visible in the way in which they were like cheering every clearance. It showed that they do not want to concede a goal. It's forget about the result of the game. The fact that they value that clean sheet a lot, and it's evident. For me, it's just going to grow on. That's how I see it. The back four, yeah, no, Tavares. We did speak about like KT not playing. The one. I don't know if you guys feel anything different. The one difference that I saw with Nuno's presence in this game was his unpredictability. He was a nuisance throughout the game, but he was very unpredictable. So that I felt made a huge difference in this game in the way in which we played and attacked on the left side. So you guys have anything?
Considering the fact that Tierney was not on his top of his form right since the start of the season, Tavares was a welcome change. And to your earlier question that you asked, was Tierney deliberately injured? Probably, I don't know, just to actually freshen things up. Maybe, I mean, on a hindsight, you could even, think that, it could be an injury which was caused for Tavares to get a chance. But he did grab his first start yesterday. And he grabbed that with both his hands, I felt, because I mean, just if I were to talk about just that one instance where his pass to Saka, that was really a thing of beauty.
The way in which he had that burst.
That's the sort of pace and, the width that he could actually provide from the left-hand side. I'm just so excited for him to, play more of such games and then, try and bombard the oppositions on the left flank.
Yeah,
go on. Put it exactly rightly. He was unpredictable. So I think when Smith Rowe or anybody was getting the ball in the, midfield slightly ahead, it was like he was bombing forward. He was always there. He was always there to get that ball. He was taking shots. So he was completely unpredictable, but there was a lot of intensity. But I think Aston Villa's, the way they played, it helped him. Because I think it might have been different if it was the Aston Villa of the last year.
Yes, you are only as unpredictable. Your unpredictability is only appreciated until it results in a goal. Yeah. So, until you concede a goal. So that was another thing. Yeah, he was very industrious. He was going forward and all that. But the more, when you're not able to back it up and when it results in a goal, then you're going to be slated. But I'm pretty sure this is a fantastic, refreshing change from the likes of Santos and Kolasinac that we've had in our team. The backup.
Don't even go there.
To the backup. So given all that, I think we have two definite good left backs. I don't know what this is going to mean to KT for the future, but it's definitely showing KT that, listen, there's another guy who's equally good, if not better than you, and we're not going to have to resort to playing Xhaka at left back. So, up your game. That's the way to go about it. So I felt that was a good thing of that happened during the game. Yeah, let's move on, guys. To the goals. We had 3 goals, 3 really good goals that we scored. The first one was party time. We spoke about it. That was breaking the duck, and we are hoping that he's able to bring this dimension of his game more and more into games and influence games as we go. If he's taking 10 shots and one of them results in a goal, I think we'll all be happy with that, right? So yeah, good on Party. Well done. And so we move on to the next goal, the penalty. We spoke about the penalty. We thought we did speak about it with George in a very objective way. So now let's talk about it from a very close to Arsenal way. Was it a penalty?
Yes.
Was it a penalty? Yes. Would we have got it any other day? Probably no.
Yes, that's good. So this was one of those days where everything was aligned for us. Everything worked in our favor, sort of. The players on their pitch was backed by the fans as well as the rest. So that was fantastic. Yeah. But Bob, you mentioned that you were not actually confident when Aben stepped up to take the penalty. Yeah. But before that, there was some mouth, he was running his mouth. Emi was running his mouth, and Naka actually stopped him, and he went on with sort of fuck. Yeah. So why did you think that Emi was going to stop it and Aben was not going to take it?
See, the moment when Aben moved on to the left-hand side to try and take the shot, Emi sort of had the feeling that he will go towards his near post. And I don't know, maybe I'm just thinking on shoes from the shoes of Emmy, and then I probably felt that he sort of had a feeling that he's going to go more towards the to the left hand side, and he did rightly so when he didn't really make a move towards the right hand side. Towards the late part of the build up, that he moved towards his left. I had a heart in my mouth that it was going to be saved almost, but then the luck was again in our favor. As you said, the stars were aligned that he was able to, finish it off from the rebound.
Yeah, I was with you as well, because when he started it sort of like brought me flashbacks of the Tottenham game where Lloris saves one in the last minute. So I was thinking on the same lines too. I felt like he's going to save it, and the rebound's going to fall, but the rebound's going to be hit outside. That's what I thought. Like it's going to be a wayward kick. But it was fun watching that kick go in. And it was also, I think, I don't want to sound nasty. Of course, we are not Arsenal fans. He was one of us. But with all that Emmy has done in the last 12 months or so far, when he was on the pitch, on the ground, it felt fantastic. I don't know if you guys felt the same way. After conceding the second goal, slumped on the ground. I don't know. I didn't want to feel good at that point, It was one of those things. It was like, my consciousness was telling me don't do it, but for me, the Arsenal fan in me was like, yes, celebrate, feel happy for them, feel you don't have to feel bad for it.
No, I was smiling. I was definitely smiling.
Yes, thank you.
Smiling.
Thank you for not feeling me miserable, making me feel miserable.
No, definitely. Like you guys, I was dreading the penalty because I just couldn't think of the fact that if he saves it, what will come out of his mouth. I was dreading the penalty. I was very relieved when we scored, and obviously I smiled for sure. For whatever he's been talking about, he's done well, but it's just whatever he's been talking about. For that, I was definitely happy that Oba scored, and
and Alba scored. The captain scored. Yeah, so that was also good. So you were keeping your mouth shut, Bob, about this. You don't want to talk about this. No mentions, nothing at all. You don't want to give Emmy the importance that he's trying to get out of all this, I guess.
No, I was happy the fact that Oba scored. That's it.
That's good. So let's go on to the third goal. The third goal was a fantastic counter-attack that we did, like we've been mentioning. It was really nice to see Emil get on the scoring sheet. The guy with all the passion that he has. Let's keep the goal aside. We did have a stroke of luck, but then I think even if Mings hadn't taken that deflection, there was a possibility of that being a goal because of the way in which ESR hit the shot. He was aiming for the. Yeah, I see that you're about to say something about it.
I probably felt that if it not for the deflection, Emmy could have potentially saved the shot. I felt because he was not looking for the top bins. No,
he wasn't. He was more
right? You're right.
Emmy almost had it covered onto the near post as such. Until or unless it was going to be a curler towards the far end, it had little chances of it going in.
I think he was going for the far post.
Yeah, he was going for the bottom corner far post. Yeah.
What as well I felt was when he was actually going all the way along, I felt probably he's again going to muck it up, considering how he did against Brighton and all those sort of things, with him not passing the ball when it comes to
the indecisiveness that we keep talking.
To be very fair, I watched the game again, and it really, Emmy was the lone man there, and Laka and Auba were like bit far off. If he had passed it back to them, then he would have been, let that opportunity go. So hats off for him to take that shot, and then as well for Mings to get involved and then sort of help us in a way.
Yeah, that's true. Mings was he linked with us at any point? I guess he was. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So it looks like he's giving a late audition for the job. So helping us for this. So so we did speak about the difference and all that. We spoke a lot about how Villa were kept quiet when we spoke with George. In terms of keeping Buendia quiet and all that, the midfield was fantastic. For me, the Sambi Partey partnership was really good. It was also surprising because I thought they both was very similar kind of players in terms of how they use their body, how they use their. Of course, Partey has the experience and with whatever comes with age and when you experience you play. But Sambi too was a similar player, and I was actually surprised to see it working out really well. Aben, did you think that it was going to work out as well as it did?
No, I didn't think it'll work out because Sambi, I think the last game he played, he wasn't this convincing. But I think I was proven wrong because I was scared when I saw we wanted Sambi to start because Partey needed that support.
Right.
But he had a 7 or 8 out of 10 game, Sambi. So you can't blame. It was an amazing game. I think it was his birthday, right?
Yeah, it was his birthday. A fantastic game for him as well as
fantastic game for him. Perfect for us.
Yeah. Good. So that was really good. Another thing that the midfield I felt like did really well was the fact that the closing in and the tracking back, the closing in, the intensity with pressing. Bob, do you think we can expect this in the next game?
You put me in a spot, really.
I saw you were keeping quiet for a while, so I had to do that.
This is not sort of a question that you ask and answer.
See, last pod, what did you guys discuss? Which Arsenal will turn up?
Yes.
So that question will always be there, at least until the time we are consistent.
and the other
probably he's answered the question for
perfectly.
me. So.
I think he's answered that question perfectly. The other two components of the midfield, ESR and Saka, they both had a fantastic game as well. For me, ESR had probably like one of his best games in an Arsenal shirt, which made it seem like, the 25 million that Villa offered, or even if they try to offer us a joke, was a bigger joke than anything else. So that's what it made it seem like. For me, the way in which Emil Smith-Rowe spoke after the game, his passion and everything, the fact that he said, "I would love to be a one-club man. I would love to stay here for the rest of my life." I'm pretty sure Saka too has the same sentiment. So those two guys were fantastic. I think we can move on to the attack unless you guys have anything to say about ESR or Saka.
Just one question on ESR.
Yeah.
Gareth Southgate was at the game. He was watching. Do you think he'll get a call up?
He should. I don't see why not. But then, that's my opinion. I feel that England are well stacked in that creative position. So, and with Mount also doing well, it might be a bit difficult. But I don't think I can be ignored for much longer if he keeps up these performances. Yeah. So that's what I feel.
It's going to be a World Cup year next year, Aben, and chances are that he's just come knocking into the under-21s team at the moment. Until or unless, Emil produces such sort of a displays in almost every game or, many such games, it's very hard for him to get a call-up into the English national team, considering all the plethora of midfielders that they have in there already. Yeah. But we may never know with injuries and things, if Emil continues his form, as well as the fact that others players who are already at the national setup, they get injured, and possibly things could happen in his favor.
Yeah, I think that's what I feel too. I think they are very well stocked right now. England are very well stocked right now in the attacking department. So one thing, the same thing that I asked George as well at the beginning, I asked him if after they scored their first goal and there was a semblance of a second goal when Watkins missed that chance, I asked him if he had any hopes of a comeback. Being Arsenal fans, did you guys think that this would possibly end in a 3-3 or even a 3-4?
When we scored the second goal, even before the start of the game, I felt fairly confident when both Aben and Laka started for some strange reasons. I probably mentioned that as well in the preview, but I felt that, if they both started, they will sort of complement each other, and Laka actually brings in more into the game, and he did definitely do his part there. After we scored the second goal, I probably felt that we are definitely going to win this. I don't know about the exact final scoreline. I probably was still hoping that we would get a clean sheet. That was a goal out of nowhere, I felt.
Yeah, fantastic goal. Yeah, we got to give him credit.
But I think apart from that, I always felt that we were going to win this game.
I agree with Bob. I think once we scored the second goal, I always felt we were going to win it. But having said that, had that Watkins chance been converted and it became 3-2, I would not have still doubted. I think we had enough. What do you say? We spoke about the defensive stability, whatever we have. So I think we still had the enough firepower to get a 3-2, even if that was converted. But there would have been a small chance that
would have been squeaky bum time had that gone in. We would have been at the edge of our seats. Definitely.
It would have
for
been
sure.
high BP time.
Yeah, definite. So we spoke about the goals, we spoke about everything that happened in the game, and I also told about the commentator bias. 3 goals in the last minute. That made my blood boil. So I think everything that we spoke about showed a different Arsenal the kind of Arsenal that we've been wanting to watch. I think we can safely get into the last part of this recording where I just want to I know we spoke about how well they played, but if we were to attach numbers to individual player performances or teams or groups of players as a whole, what would you guys give? Let's start with Ramsdale, given the performance that we have. We don't need to explain anything, just give me numbers.
7.
7, yeah.
Yeah. Back four, let's start with Tavares. Fantastic debut.
8.
I'd give an 8.
8, yeah. And Gabby White.
8.
Same, yeah.
And Tommy was, I felt he was unspectacular, but he did the good things properly. Kept things tidy and clean.
I think Tommy was a 7 probably.
7. Agree.
Yeah. And the midfield party and Sambi.
8s.
Agree.
In spite of the goal, party gets only an 8. You guys are
You
tough.
can't get more than this.
I wouldn't go beyond an 8 for now.
Okay. You're keeping yourself grounded. You're keeping the fan base grounded. I like that. And how about our ASR and Saka?
I think Saka had a 7
DSR,
and
Saka.
yeah, you go ahead, please.
I think you both are saying the same thing. 8 for ESR and 7
we
for
said
Saka.
the other way around, I think. Yeah, I agree.
So 8 for ESR and 7 for Saka, Bob?
Yes.
Yeah. So you both are
actually
saying
6.5 for Saka for missing the chance.
okay. Okay. I agree. Sometimes you got to be strict to make these kids understand what is expected of them. So I agree. And the attack.
I think again a 7 and an 8. A 7 to Oba and an 8 to Laka.
You
Agree. Yes.
7.
I know
Actually,
Oba scored.
I'll go
Oba
lesser
scored,
than
but
I'll go lesser than 7 for Oba as well, because
Oh, yeah.
I mean the only better threat that he was trying to do was the overhead kick. I mean,
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about that at all.
we didn't talk about that. Yeah.
Thanks
he
for
did definitely try for goal, guys. It was not meant for assist or anything, but he did definitely try for a goal.
Yes, we'll believe that. Yes, we'll believe that when you say it. Yeah, so that's interesting that you you gave that. I think and what about the manager?
7.
7, Aben?
6.
6. Okay, I see. We are
He's
being
keeping
more
him
grounded.
very grounded.
Very grounded. Yes, we do not want to give these guys any impression that they played a good game. You guys still suck, and we want you to perform better. I guess that's the standard.
I'm considering this as a one-off.
One-off. Yes, that's good. I don't know if you're jinxing or not, but either way, it's good. It's good that we are keeping our expectations in check. So I think there was a really good review that we did of the Villa game, and like we have been talking about, the Arsenal that turned up against Villa is the Arsenal that we want turning up every week, irrespective of the competition or the opposition. And that, I think, that happening over a stretch of period is going to give the fans the confidence that they need to get completely behind the manager and the process that we're having. So let's hope that this Villa game is the beginning of a good run of games for us. Now, the most important part of this podcast for me is this shameless promotion that I forgot right at the beginning. Do like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. So your comments are very valuable to us. Any comment or any feedback that you give us is helping us get better and improve things. It's helping us understand the kind of content that people want from us, and it's always like a factor that keeps us helps us to keep improving and give out better content. So please continue doing that. Please like our podcast, like, share, and subscribe. Share it with your other friends so they can also know the kind of stuff that we do. That would be very good for us and for them as well. So unless you guys have anything else to add on, I think we can call it end for this podcast.
Do we have to worry about Lacazette's injury?
Do we have to? Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, but he was, from what I saw, he was fit enough to actually signal to the bench and go rather than being stretchered off. So that in itself is a big positive for me. And he was actually walking, albeit gingerly, but he was still walking, right? How many times have we seen players go on the ground and not get up at all and be stretchered off? and be off for like 6 to 7 months, So given all that, and in spite of him, like there's a high possibility of him leaving in January. I think he's going to be immense. He's going to be like a very important player for us in these runs of games that we have. So for me, I don't think it's going to be a big injury, and I hope that Aben also agrees with me. It's not.
I'm hoping it's not a big injury.
Yeah,
and let's hope the unbeaten run continues.
Yes, let's hope the mini invincible run that we have continues on to the next game against Leeds as well. So yeah, we'll be back again with the preview of our next game. Until then, it's bye from me, Arun, Aben, and Ashok. Thanks a lot for this game, guys. Sorry, Ashok, not Ashok. Bob, thanks a lot for this, guys. So we'll see you again next week. Thank you. Come on, you Gunners.
Bye.
Come on, you Gunners.